watch. And here we are. Welcome back, everybody, to the second watch. We got Gary and I have an excellent lineup for you. You already see who we have. We wanted to get them right in because off camera we've already been having a good old time chatting with these folks. Bacon, Mike, Crispy, thank you so much for taking time out of your Friday nights to chat with us.
Thanks for having me.
We are looking forward to talking about the beginner's guide to 4D role playing and getting more in depth into this play style that I find intriguing. I've been enjoying my experiment, my flirting with, and I think there's a lot to be learned from it, even if at the end of the day you don't subscribe wholeheartedly to it. But before we get into this, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Nerd Cognito on Rumble. They're doing their annual Valentine's Day giveaway next week. I will be out of town, so I won't be able to watch and participate, but I did submit 2 PDFs of Red Room products, Wretched RPG, Isle of the Sapphire God, and my personal pride and joy, Wretched Folklore, for your Weird West horror role-playing games. Those will be up, so you get a free version of that. So I hope you check out Nerd Cognito. And the only other bit of news I got is next week there will be no second watch. Gary and I have stuff to do, family stuff. I will be visiting my family and my parents in Florida. Gary, you're going to be playing some Barry White.
I'm going to be playing. It's my anniversary. I will have some scented candles lit. My Cavassier. It will be a time for love.
So,
sorry, I couldn't resist.
Crispy, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the second watch, brother.
I watch every single one of your videos. I want you to know that before I piss you off tonight, I watch every single one of your videos.
Thank you. I appreciate your patronage. Thank you.
Excellent.
Before we get into like the major topic, I just want to kind of go around because Crispy, you're new here. Mike, you're new. Bacon, you've been here before. Real quick, Crispy, you got a YouTube channel, yes?
I do. Yeah, you'll find me at Tablerunner, and I'm pretty enthusiastic about role playing. I'll show some games there, guys. You can go and see me run games, playing games. I'm also a vocal, let's say, coach for role playing. So I'll take a look at games and give some friendly advice, unsolicited friendly advice. And so check me out. I'm there. You'll find me.
Mike?
I'm just Mike. I don't have a cool channel or anything. Nothing to put out there.
Which makes you cooler than all of us.
But yeah, and I was going to say, but you're co-author of...
I'm co-author of the 4D handbook, yeah.
And Bacon?
Hey, I've been here before, so I'm over on the YouTube channel Better with Bacon, trying to find the motivation to ramp up those videos again. At the moment, it's just a bunch of interviews and live plays, not to detract from those. But I am the second author of the Beginner's 4D Handbook,
which the link is in the description. It is a great handbook for this style of role playing that has
free.
And yeah, it's free.
It's free. Hey, real quick, before I Bacon, you have very quietly infiltrated more podcasts and shows and streams than any other. Like every fucking time I turn on the Apple TV, I hit the YouTube app, there is your beard is doing something. You've been all over the place, man.
I have been making the rounds. Yes, I have been making rounds. I am a generally easy to get along with guy, and it seems like I get along with quite a lot of people.
This is true. This is
very true.
You're fun
Sorry,
to
I didn't mean to derail things.
No, you're fine.
No worries at all.
I just wanted to highlight something Death Angel Shadow said. I'm just trying to find it. Oh yeah. Yeah, don't search for crispy. You won't get what you were expecting. LOL. Yeah, there's a other guy who sucked.
There is. Yeah.
Um,
We are
That
about as
motherfucker.
opposite
Yeah,
as you can find.
I think Gary and I criticized his criticism of Lamentations of the Flame Princess like our second or third show. That guy sucks.
He made me
I
famous
wanna-
on Reddit.
Awesome.
So
Uh,
yeah, I guess I'm.
Oh, did he?
Bro,
That's kind of
I
like
wanna
being.
s-
That's like being big in Japan. I hear. Famous.
So Tom Waits, he's big in Japan.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm big in
I'm
Japan.
not even kidding, dude. If I were
Reddit
in
guys
high
hate
school,
me.
I would
There we
shove him in a locker. That kid. Anyway, sorry.
I actually did. Funny enough,
Shove
one
him in a
crispy to
locker?
another. I critiqued one of his games. Just I wasn't cruel or anything, but it kind of smarted the guy, and he was. Anyway, hopefully he gets better. So the recovery continues.
Well, I know well, let's get into it because my introduction to 4D was actually ironically similar to my introduction to Bro SR style play. It was through negative interaction. Yes. We're gonna have to upgrade. We're gonna have to get our own sound bar here. The guy who was sort of like the grandfather to this style of play, the late great Shawner, may he rest in peace. He was ruthless.
Oh yeah,
on some of my actual plays, and I tried. I want to be clear here. I wasn't offended. Mm-hmm. I just don't think he understood what I was doing because like I was just trying to show street cred. Like, look, I'm actually playing these games, guys. I wasn't really doing it for.
No, good for you. Like honestly, it takes a lot of courage to put your games out there.
Stupid.
Yeah, it was just good for you. That's fine. The late great Shawner, I'm sure it'll come up as we talk about the handbook. Actually, wasn't really actively part of the whole 4D thing, but he did inspire a lot of us to be like, hey, are we actually role playing? What is role playing? And so that he certainly was involved in that aspect of it. But
well, you know what? Let's jump right in there. It's like first question, because in the beginner's guide to 4D role playing, you do reference Shawner's. I think that's also free PDF on Drive.
It is, yeah.
How to you reference that
the hard way.
Yeah, role playing the hard way. You reference that as some influence. So yeah, let's start there. Like, so you say like he wasn't that into it, but like, what about his critiques? Because like, I mean, my mug got like pasted into some of his intros.
That's he made the intro.
I know, man. That's how much he hated my OSR action.
Honestly, most of us were in the intro at one. The intro at one point was 30 minutes long.
I know. This dude was nuts. God rest his soul. I mean this with all due respect. Like, this dude was, but yeah.
Well, I mean, the authors, Bacon and Mike, they've done a lot of work on this. So I'll just quickly say his book, How to Roleplay the Hard Way. For me, what that helped was just to take a look and see, am I actually role playing? What, according to a definition? I understand there's more than one definition out there, but it was more of that impetus for reflection, and then that impetus for reflection trickled onto lots of other things. So that's where I'll leave it, and then Bacon and Mike can take it from there.
Honestly, we referenced Shawner's book because his up until the beginner's 4D handbook. I will never get that title right on the first try, and I named it. Right, I helped name it. When we published that, the idea was that Shawner that was the only published work that even kind of remotely fit into the whole 4D practice, and so the goal wasn't to like supplant or replace; it was to broaden. And so we wanted to make sure that we had that callback to the history, because that was important to us. In fact, quite a bit of the handbook is devoted to history, whether it's the history of the way people thought about in-character play, or the history of, what came to be known as the 4D style itself. And he was, I liked the guy. I got along well with him. He was the first guest that I had ever on the channel. Um, it was it was a very funny interaction that I had to actually get him on the channel. But yeah, I liked him well enough. I know that he didn't, he rubbed some people the wrong way, and I get it. And I'm not, he was his own person, and I'm not here to defend him, but I liked him quite a lot, and we got along really very well.
Yeah.
And so I wanted
same.
to make sure that I included his contribution, um, in the handbook.
Mike, how about you? I mean, did you were you like a Shonner devotee? Did you read the book? Did you watch his videos? Like,
I didn't know Shonner. I read his book, and I asked. I mean, my introduction to 4D was hearing Bacon talk about it in another stream, another channel, and me asking Bacon a bunch of questions, and Bacon steering me to just a bunch of videos, including Shonner's. But yeah, I had no interaction with him up until some of his videos now.
oh, okay. So is it fair to say that you're kind of like new to the 4D style? Is that fair to say?
Very much so.
Yeah, and just
what?
to give you a real quick background, I'm so sorry, Matt,
No,
to
go ahead.
jump in here, just to give everyone sort of square one to start from. Mike came to me to write this. It started off as a bunch of notes, and I asked him if he was going to maybe publish or do anything with it, because he had gone through a lot of the videos, and he was present in the Discord and had seen some of the conversations that were going, and he was interested in a more in character style of play, and so he was really taking these
Right.
notes for himself. And then once I read them, I was like, well, you should probably do something with this, publish this. And then I had just attached myself to that. So the reason it is the beginner's 4D handbook is because it really and truly is the beginner's 4D handbook. All of the notes, everything that's in there came out of Mike wanting to be a beginner in the style. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of where it's started.
Well, that's fantastic. I was not aware of that. See, this is why people watch the second watch, because
There you
Gary
go.
and I have no idea what we're doing, and we're learning all this in real time.
You are correct, sir. I know nothing.
Well, this goes into some of the questions I really like asking people, especially when I'm first getting to know them as gamers. So, Mike, how long you've been role playing? How long have you been playing these types of games, and what about 4D drew you to the point where you're taking notes, to the point where somebody else said, "Hey, let's write a book about them"?
Sure. So I've been playing role-playing games for 37 years, since I was 13. My brother got me into it. In fact, in the handbook, the dedication is to my brother allowing me to tag along and play RPGs with his friends, because I'm pretty sure the last thing your older brother wants is his younger brother playing games with his friends with him. But he did, and he was kind enough to do it, and that's kicked off something where I would be still doing it all these years later. My introduction to 4D then was, like I said, it was hearing Bacon talk about it and then watching a ton of videos. And what appealed to me was something I had noticed in my own games, which was when people were in character, the game came alive. It was just more enjoyable. And when things slipped out of character, things kind of screeched to a halt. Things didn't move. There wasn't the experience I was looking for. And so hearing Bacon talk about 4D made a lot of sense to me. And then I had to know more. And when I have to know more, I jump in with 2 feet. So it's a process where I take notes like a wild person, then I condense those notes into something meaningful, and then I usually ask a bunch of questions on holes in those notes, and that's exactly where Bacon came in.
I love that, man, because that's actually how I learned the Bro SR method. Not saying that I'm a master of it at all, but I was listening to these guys. I was in some Discord and Gilded servers who were talking about it. And then there was this ill-fated game called the Brooriental Adventures lasted about 3 to 4 weeks. I was both a patron and player, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I just jumped into the deep end and just started doing it. And boy, did you learn, right? You learn some stuff. So, well, that's interesting. That's really interesting. I'm sorry, Gary, you had something?
Well, I was going to say, we've had a couple questions come up where people are asking for a synopsis of what 4D is. So, and I want to talk about this new book that's on drive-through, and it's free. You guys, the Beginner's 4D Handbook, just go get it. But if we could get one of you guys, Crispy, Bacon, Mike, whoever, to just give a quick rundown of what is 4D. What do you
He exploded.
Yeah, I think I have a sound for that on the soundboard. I was prepared for it. Oh well, next time. But yes, the handbook is free, and on page 13. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'll have something. Where was it? Yeah, this. That's what I was looking for. So
it's gonna be one of those shows.
Every one of them shows.
You're gonna be. I get to
hold on to your butts.
Here, you go first.
Right, the what is a great question. So who was it that said, can I just give me a synopsis? Is there a Cole's Notes of this? Yes. And that's why this handbook is so well, it's handy because just like the Bro SR style of play, they have their own manual and they can refer to it. And so a lot of people will I would say project what they think it is rather than what it is. And so I'm very much indebted. We're all indebted, those of us that enjoy this style, to Bacon and Mike for doing this, because then we have something that we can just point to and say, hey, well, here it is, page 13. So what is this 4D, so-called 4D style of play? In the simplest of terms, and I'm just reading it. Oh, no, he's reading. Yes. Is an effort to get in character as frequently as possible and to stay in character for as long as possible. That's it.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to say I actually took some notes. I know it's crazy.
Man, reading and note taking.
I am trying to take this topic seriously.
Damage.
Crispy, you want to get hired to be our sidekick?
How long has it been since both of us drank on the show together?
It's been a while. All
right.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You were taking
no. It's fine. It's funny. It's fantastic. I love it. I yield to comedy. Well, Mike, I actually want to hear everybody's definition, but I want to come back to something Crispy said. So, Mike, as the kind of like the guy who seems, and again, I don't want to mischaracterize you because you've been playing for a very long time, just like me, but you seem new, right, to the 4D method, but you're into it. How would you define it?
I mean, part of me is going to say the smart ass thing, which is that's why we wrote what we wrote on page 13. But
go get the book.
Yeah, but I mean, if
spoiler alert, I'm gonna be that smart ass. So go ahead.
But if I were asked if I was pressed to add to this, I would say that a 4D style is about player agency and in an extreme sense. I guess not extreme is unfair, but in a highly valued sense. And I would say that that's where the responsibility on the person to role play their character comes from, but also then on the responsibility for, to do your share at the table and to contribute, and as well for the GM to not move you around and all these other qualities that go with the 4D style.
Bacon.
I think Chubby Funster nailed it.
I know. I'm Chubby is the reason why we need to get a moderator. Anyway,
Chubby's read the book, obviously.
Right. So one of the things that struck out at me when I was reading the book was the phrase "as long as possible and as frequently as possible." Okay, those
Mhm.
I think those are actually very important. I don't want to editorialize those, so I'll let you guys comment on this. But the reason why they stuck out at me is going back to Shauner. Like, I mean, he was pretty. And again, this is not me complaining. I'm just, as describing. Like, he was very critical about my actual plays, and some of his followers who were commenting on his reaction videos were really critical, and it actually made me step back and to think like, well, my gut response was, number one, don't make fun of my players. You can make fun of me, don't make fun of my players, like almost paternal. But another one was, well, are we talking about the same kind of game, right? But at the end of the day, and maybe this is partly in fault of Shauner, maybe partly a fault of me not doing enough investigation at the time, but it left a sour taste in my mouth for what 4D actually is. What?
Fucking Chubby's lying. I did a voice last night, and I did the little snappy fingers of a salesman of that repute. So, man. All right, sorry. All right, go ahead.
Gary was 4Ding without realizing he
No,
was
I wasn't.
4Ding. No. He was like this anyway. So but when I read those, I think that actually is the difference between the perception of 4D and actually what 4D is. Does that make sense?
Sure. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And can you expound on precisely how that interplays with the game mechanics and the fact that you're playing a game?
Sure. Bacon hasn't said much. Do you want to talk about that first? I've got thoughts, but you go ahead.
I'm happy for you to answer first.
This is covered in some of the sections of the book that go into the actual practices. So one thing I didn't read in the what is it's a holistic approach. So we're going to have to incorporate the game elements in so depending on the game we're playing, how much of that mechanics can we do in character? Are there things that we can just assume because it's a high trust style of game where I'm not concerned that Gary's cheating again. I'm just going to assume that Gary isn't a cheater. I don't play with cheaters. We all assume we're playing the same game. There's an expectation in the style that that we don't have to hold people's hands when it comes to the system. And system mastery is important to us. Obviously, we still want to have those components that are an important part of playing the game. The dice mechanics or whatever systems we're using, there is a preference, and it's mentioned in the handbook. Some games work a little better in terms of staying in character. Other games want above-table negotiations, like that abomination Powered by the Apocalypse or something. We don't like those things because, and the same thing really applies to Blades in the Dark and other games where there's a lot of negotiation out of character between GM and player. We're trying to avoid that. We're okay with mechanics. I've seen guys play really Pathfinder First Edition. I mean, why would you play that? But I've seen them playing Pathfinder First Edition in this style. Now that's a very challenging game. Yeah. Mithras has some very dense. It's not rules light. It can be very dense. I've seen guys playing this style with that. So it's not just, oh, well, these are the guys that don't like the rules. No, it's just we're trying to have the rules be supportive as much as possible to staying in character and not work against staying in character. If that makes sense.
I don't want to cut off Bacon or Mike who might want to answer that question, but I do because you just said something that triggered another thought on my notes.
We're all triggered.
More triggering.
I know I'm triggered.
Emotional damage.
Sorry,
Crispy, you're going to become a regular.
I gotta stop.
Our new producer.
I know. Welcome, Tablerunner Crispy.
No. Wait.
I had this really profound thought.
I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry.
No, because you said something about Blades in the Dark and Powered by the Apocalypse, which are typically considered story games, right? And 4D is often criticized as being a
Just
story
those
game
filthy
style.
story gamers. Yeah, I know.
I just thought that was really interesting. And I'll be honest, like I Blades in the Dark, I don't know. I own Band of Blades. I've read through it. It's incomprehensible to me. I'd love to play it sometime because I love the premise. But
I want to jump in.
I just don't know those games well. Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
Blades in the Dark. I do agree with you that there is a sort of above table negotiation. And I can't believe I'm about to defend Blades in the Dark, but I did have fun with Blades in the Dark for a couple
You can have
months.
fun with it.
Oh, I had fun with it too.
Yeah, and I think that it when you guys talk about game mastery, right? And game mastery, mastering the game is kind of key to this, isn't it? To some extent. And
very much so.
I think if you had a really good Blades in the Dark group, or really any game, if I think that might, but it does. You are correct in that it doesn't lend itself to a 4D style of play. Does that make sense?
It doesn't. But to your point, Gary, and I wouldn't disagree with you. If you have sufficient rules mastery and everyone has that system mastery at the table, then there's a lot of games that you can stay in character in, and that would be okay. But it's just some of them, there's an assumption by the game designer that this part of the game is not role played.
Right.
And
yeah,
we're kind of aggressive. We're like, no, we're going to role play that part too.
yeah.
And obviously that in some instances that's you are fighting the game, the intent of the game. Bacon, you had some interesting observations about draw steel in this regard, and it's not a bad experience. It's just it's an experience that is leaning more into the board game style, adventure game, war game. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that is not what this style, our style, is driving at.
Yeah, and I'll even go so far as to say, to supplement what you're saying, that it like if there are people out there who love 5e and they know 5e and that is their game and they can play it in their sleep with their eyes closed. And so if that's the case, if everyone at the table is achieving that level of system mastery, then you can 4D 5e. There are people who have 4D'd 5e. Those videos are out there on YouTube. You can go and look those up. And additionally with draw steel, like we only played it the one time, right? And so there was a lot of work that went into trying to learn the systems beforehand before we actually, sat down with Tom to play the game. And again, very grateful to him for doing that for us. But if we were to play draw steel for years and really understand the mechanics of the game, I have no doubt that you could 4D draw steel as well. It might take a little banging on to kind of make some things fit better. But what game doesn't require that?
That is, Mike, I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
No, not yet.
Okay, fair enough. I just didn't want to
hold my fire.
Gotcha. That is a bold statement, actually, to say that any game can be played 4D. Because that's.
Did I say that?
Well, it sounded like you said it.
Did I say that?
Well, maybe not exactly, but maybe I'm slipping into my. Where is it? There it is. I'm drunk. There it is.
You'll get there.
Yeah. No, but it sounds like you, if game mastery is like an inherent component to this 4D experience, because like I saw in your book you did mention 5e, like, oh, you can play 5e, and I just don't see it.
That made so many people do a spit take. It made so many people do a spit take. The reason that's in there is because people have done it. Yeah. It has been done.
I think
we played the Wendy's RPG in 4D.
I know the Wendy's RPG. Yeah,
we've done it. We've done OSR titles. We've done all sorts of things.
I'm curious about OSR, because OSR, inherent in OSR, is that sort of give and take between the game master and the player, who are asking questions about the world. And
we have you ask questions. You just don't ask them the normal way. You do it the 4D way. And the way you do that is you ask the same questions. What do I see here? What do I do? But you don't ask them out of character. You ask them via moving your character around. And I understand I have to shut up because there's a
No, go ahead.
there's a
Finish your thought.
there's a super
Finish your
chat.
thought.
But I just wanted to say, like, I watch a lot of OSR games, actual plays, and it strikes me that what you say is true. Yeah, Thirsty Sword Lesbians. I've watched one of those games. It's so bad. Yeah. Okay. So the way it would happen is you would just localize the question within the character, and what I mean by that is you would instead of you just saying, "Hey, so is the door locked?" Which is a classic one. I see that a lot. You know, is the chest locked? Is the door locked? Is there a trap on it? You would describe what your character is doing to check that out in the world. Just as if in the real world, you walked up to a door and you wanted to find out if it was locked. You wouldn't look up to the sky and say, is the door locked? No,
Right.
You would. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
You would go over to the door and test it out. And so in this style, and that's what happened. You just localize that by saying a lot of, I go here and do this, which is a cue to the GM to then provide the information, maybe even call for a check. You know, like I get down low and I'm on my hands and knees looking at the bottom of the door for anything out of place. Okay, well, you roll your thieves skill, whatever, to check for traps. That's fine. It's just different than saying, can I check for traps here?
Yes. And this sort of very focused search, very focused description in your character, in character, is very congruent with OSR style play, right? Like,
I agree.
You'll hear. I've heard you say similar things. The Eric Tenkar has said similar things. It's that this particular element is very congruent with OSR style play.
It is.
Well, I was actually going to bring that up because the way I typically run the concept of searching the room, if a player goes into detail, and this happened in my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign, a guy who played a thief for the very first time, and he'd been playing for 40 years, he went balls out. Like he bought candles. And I was like, why are you buying candles? He's like, because he'd light the candle and slowly move it along the wall. And if the flame flickered, that means there's a crack, air is coming through, probably a secret door. You know what? I never made him roll. He just found it because he went into that description. Meanwhile, I had a very enthusiastic player and a good friend of mine who would always make a character who had a voice. And he had the voice and he had the descriptions of what his character was doing, and he was acting and all this other stuff. But he would walk into a room and say, I search it. What do I find? Mm-hmm. Make a roll. You didn't find anything. I'm sorry. Or whatever. So, no, I do agree with that. And I do see how that can be compatible.
Well, with your second example, the only thing I would change, literally the only thing, Matt, I would change with that is the last part of the sentence. If he walks into the room and say, I start searching the room, the only thing I would ask him not to do is say, what do I find? That's the only, and then what he's done would fit nearly seamlessly into this style of play. I walk into the room, I start searching it. Okay. Then the GM, you would just say, roll search. And he would roll and you'd say success and describe what it was, or you'd say failure and he would say, oh man, I stubbed my toe again. Like, or something, right?
Right. But you would never narrate why he failed. You'd leave that up to him.
Depends what we decide in advance.
Yeah, it depends.
Sometimes players want me I want to narrate my failures. Sometimes the GM will do it. Sometimes the player will do it. We decide that before the game starts.
All right, we're going to have to talk about session 0 in a second here. Gary,
Gary wants to start something.
I know. I'm going to run and refill my glass. Be right back.
Go fill your drink. I don't know what it is. Here's the thing. Like I told you before the show, I love all you guys. But at what point it feels like the GM kind of it's such an it's like it's an exercise that goes beyond the game to me. And I feel like we have this game and it has rules and you do this and you follow the steps, and everything else. And there are times sometimes I can see where you would have like a role, God damn it, Slash, where you would have like a role-playing scene, I guess. But I just, for some reason, because it is a game, I feel real comfortable if a player rolled in and said, hey, words, charisma roll. I would understand that. You know what I mean? My player might not always.
I think I follow you. You're saying look, sometimes you want to just abstract, right?
Well,
is that what you're saying?
It's kind of, yeah. Sometimes I want to abstract. And also it's there. It does, God damn it. It does seem to be a little,
Gary's cat is in heat.
Yes, something's going on.
He's a musician, guitar player, lead guitar player. It happens.
Please check out my bottom.
I guess
check out my bottom.
I guess what I'm saying is I feel like the 4D of it can overshadow the fact that it is a game, right?
Well, I wouldn't. I guess my disagreement with you isn't in the sense that this is a style that does require buy-in from everyone at the table. Granted, that you're 100% right. Is it something that is diminishing the game aspect? No. That's where I would have a disagreement with you. But I absolutely agree with you, Gary, that this is, if you wanted to do this, everyone has to be on board at a certain level or it's going to fall to pieces. And it'll be painful as it does. So the whole, it's all going to go to trash and no one's going to like it the whole way there. But if everyone's on the same page, you can do that. But that's really not that different than any game style, in my opinion. If you have a game and there's some guys that just they're just going to have some brews, we're just going to hang out. And there's one guy that's like, dude, I've totally got all my feats ready and I've got this and and everyone's like, dude, you just calm down, man. There is an assumption in every table that I would call it essentially social or a table convention. This is how we're enjoying this. And if you don't like to game this way, that's fine. You can game some other place. That's really not that different from any table, really.
I guess and I guess the thing is I get what sometimes rubs me weird about 4D is that it is a philosophy that I feel you kind of put onto
that's fair
games, and I just
not all games
have the cognitive load. You know what I mean? I don't know that.
Sure,
I can handle.
Started cutting out there, buddy.
He doesn't have the bandwidth either.
God.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Hey,
sing.
Oh, yeah. I've got one for that. Hold on. There we go.
Hey.
I just want everybody to know I did fight with Spectrum today. I have been fighting with them.
Fighting the good fight.
He's fighting the good fight.
They'll be out here
You're right, though, Gary. You're right that it does require another. It's for the case of many of us, it's relearning just a few things, which can be, for some people that's not a big deal. For others, it's like, no, man, this is just the way I do it. I'm not interested in any kind of improvement. There's an introspection or a game reflection component of this style where we're going to talk about it after and say, hey, not just what happened and what was cool and it was so badass when Bacon did this and I loved it when you did that. We're going to do that. Of course, that's all out of character. We save all that for the end of the game. But we also are committing to, hey, this is something as a hobby we want to get better at. And what am I looking to get better at? Well, it's not rolling the dice. Rolling dice, I don't get better at that, but I could get better at role play. I could embody these characters better, and whatever that means.
No, I understand that, and I actually agree with that. Me and Matt. Well, I do agree. I go back and forth. I'm of a few minds.
Oh hell no!
I actually didn't mean to click on that one, but anyway.
Matt and I were talking the other day. Matt and I were talking the other day, and there's a guy we play with named Reed. And Reed he plays 4D and he's never heard of y'all, right? That is
It's just yeah, that's just his style.
It's just what he does.
Mhm.
And I don't find that awkward or weird, or you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. In fact, I think it enhances the game.
Yeah, he's the guy at the table that just by example encourages everybody else to role play. Like you said something earlier, and I'm sorry, I've been trying to watch, so I can't quite remember exactly what you said, but there's definitely a sense that what was it, the Max Boyvon had said this, like it's doing what the Bro SR does but from a different angle, right? And you were talking about after the game critiquing each other and trying to improve. I want to get into that a little bit. However, there's a couple super chats. One guy in particular has been incredibly patient, so I want to get to him.
Thanks for that.
thing.
So Tim Griffin, $10, bro. Thank you so very much for the super chat. That's very generous of you. How would you apply 4D to a purely solo TTRPG? Don't hate.
It's a great question. We actually have someone
a tough nut to crack.
It is a really tough nut. We have a guy that's what he does, and I'd have to check in with him to see what he's doing to try to stay in that space. Myself, I've never done any solo RPGs, but we have two individuals that are actively working on that. How do you be in character for the most of you can? One of them has a YouTube channel. You can check him out. His name's Rolling Stag, and Rolling Stag is a solo RPGer, and he's been part of our little group for a long time, right, almost since the inception. And the other one is Dice Tales, and he's got a YouTube channel too. He doesn't post very often. He's an older gentleman. He's exceptionally funny. If you ever get him on a live stream, he's absolutely hilarious. And he also does a lot of solo games. And so that's all I have to say. I'm not an expert on it, but it is a more challenging thing to do.
I think that Trevor from Me, Myself, and Die also does a lot of solo plays, and Sean are used to direct me to him because I have had questions about solo play, and I have unsuccessfully attempted it myself. So those are three good places to start.
Have you guys? I know, just outside of 4D conversation, have you guys done any solo play? Are you into that sort of thing, or?
I've attempted it, but it didn't land.
Mike, how about you?
No, I bounced off of it. It's not my thing.
Crispy, you shook your head.
What's that?
My son does that. My son does
I
that.
agree.
I actually agree with that, because to me, the RPG, to me, the solo game is an anathema. Like RPGs it's a group sport, especially from an OSR perspective. We're there to accomplish whatever it is, whether it's metagame or not, but it's a group sport, it's a group thing. And I think from a 4D perspective, it seems to me, and this is why I found that question from Tim like really interesting.
It's an interesting question.
Solo RPG just sort of like is really an anathema to 4D, because you're getting into character for the benefit, I would assume, not just for yourself, but the people at the table, right?
Exactly,
this immersive
Gary.
experience.
Or man, yeah, it is. And I would go so far as, like, for me personally, it's a social activity, and I like it for the social activity. I'll hop between systems. I'm not married to any one system, but I love the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, because you think about who usually gravitates towards tabletop role-playing games, and it's a little bit of the outcast kid often. And yet at its root, it's a social activity where maybe that's why. Maybe it's, I mean, we have a doctor in the house. Maybe that's why. Mike can enlighten us on this. We're looking for that social experience, and we're not getting it, in the sports teams, because we're too busy getting swirlies in the boys' room. or getting stuffed into a locker. And so we're like, hey, we'll get together with all the outcasts
I'm sorry
and then
about
we'll
that,
have a
guys.
social experience. But anyway, so some of us were shoving people into the locker. I'm sorry about that,
I apologize.
people. I have apologized. But it is for me, that's why solo RPGs don't really resonate, because I want the interaction with other people.
I'll play a video game. I'll play Mass Effect.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I will be immersed in Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect. That's my solo RPG.
Sure.
So yeah,
I can play
Spike,
Red Dead
it sounded like
Redemption for days at a time. I don't want RPGs. Sorry.
Well, that's okay.
I understood that. Yeah.
I was going to
I
say
understand.
that I think part of the attraction for me anyway has always been the social element and the idea that you're engaging in this activity with others, and that the activity from that emerges, the experiences that you share. And when it comes to my in-person group or people that I've role played with online, we'll talk about those things that we've had as if they're real experiences. We'll talk about them, still about, the time when this happened or that happened, or, whatever. And it's that shared experience for me that really helps, which is why I think, solo RPG never really hit with me.
Yeah. I think it's a very niche within a niche in the hobby. Like I did buy during COVID 4 Against Darkness because I was desperate for a game, right?
Is that solo? I've only just looked at that recently.
It's a solo game, and it's actually
know
done really well. But I played it once, and then I picked up Discord, and I paid for a not Roll20. What's the other one?
Foundry?
No, I can't remember. Whatever it is, I picked up one of these VTTs and started playing. But go ahead, Gary.
There are the Arkham Horror board games you can play solo, and I've
played those.
At my saddest, like a month into my divorce in my new bullshit apartment with my folding fucking table, I played the Arkham Asylum board games all by myself. And the only thing that kept the revolver in the drawer and not in my mouth was I had to pay my bills. Anyway, I think solo games are not. They don't. It's about being with people. It's about the funny jokes and everything. So.
Yeah,
I agree with that. And on top of that, there's a dynamism that you get when you play in a group that you don't get solo. When you play solo, everything's in your brain. When you play with a group of people, there are surprises. There are things that you can't do solo. Legitimately can't do.
Yeah,
and those as a part of the game, I find are very worthwhile. And that's I have said before that I want to play with people. Like I want to play with you, Matt and Crispy and Mike and Gary. Like I don't. That's what I want to do when I engage with the hobby.
Yeah.
I want to play with people.
Yeah, and to something, Mike, to a point you said, like you sort of like said it, but like it's actually quite profound. Mike from accounting really did save Bob from legal's life last weekend.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like for them, it was like this quasi reality that they created. That is an experience, and like truly, like in a very profound way, it's an experience that you don't get from a board game, and you don't get from a video game. Video games, I think, can come close, but to Bacon's point, I love Mass Effect. It's one of the greatest role-playing games for Xbox or whatever, in my opinion, right? Ever. But it was only me. Like I can't share what I experienced with anybody else. So, but yeah. So I got a Doc Flamingo. Thank you, brother. $5. Is the adding of objects events by players an essential structural element of 4D? Would it count without that but observing all other parameters?
This
I'd
is
like
actually
to take this one.
yeah.
if-
Please,
just
Bacon.
first.
Mhm.
So, answer to the first question: is the adding of objects events by players an essential structural element of 4D? I am going to say no.
I
And the
agree.
reason I say that is because I frequently don't do it. I'm still in character the whole time. I'm still interacting exclusively with the players and the GM in character, but I don't necessarily add those elements. I think the game's enhanced when you do that, but I don't think it's necessary when you do that. Additionally, in session 0, when you discuss what the game is going to be about, the co-creation element it's recommended that you discuss the scope of the co-creation. And if sometimes you want to run a game where there's very little co-creation, maybe you can pick up some elements on the ground within a scene, but not create these world spanning armies or entire conflicts like that. That's something that you want to discuss beforehand, and it's always a conversation. And so no, it's not a structural element. I do think it enhances it, but it's not essential. And then would it count without that, but observing all other parameters? Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, completely agree. And I would just say that the handbook is good on this because it goes through what we mean by this co-creation, the players being able to increase the resolution of scenes by assuming that some things based on the initial description by the game master would make sense that they were there. And it's really just you have to understand why did this even become a thing? It became a thing because we wanted to avoid saying, is there a letter opener on the desk? Honestly, guys, like you described a desk to me. I can assume desk things. And if I go too far, the game master is not absent, and we haven't declawed the game master. The game master can mess with everything that you think is there. So it's not like the game master still is the ultimate arbiter. But as my friend Max has said many times, we're anti control freak GM. And you and I, all of us here have had control freak GMs where, it's absolutely essential that you know that this is like, dude, all right. The color of the ballpoint pen is not pivotal to what we're doing here. Can we just assume if I said I grab the pen and start writing in blue ink, that it's blue ink? If you decide that the ink turns to blood on the page, fine, you can change that if you really need to. But for minor details, the attempt was to simply not slow things down to a crawl. So we're asking about the texture on the drapes. Honestly, some of that detail just doesn't matter.
Is speed,
and if it does matter, you can retcon it in the moment.
And if it does matter, Gary can say
over and there is no pen. You can do that in the moment. It's what I mean. Like it doesn't.
Is speed that important though? Like I'm just gonna.
Speed isn't important. Yeah. Immersion is important. And the decision was made as we were experimenting with this, and it really is an ongoing experiment, that it's if we can just imagine it as best you can, most of the time we're not imagining things exactly the same, but there's so much overlap that we can afterwards say, when you were doing that, I could picture it in my head. And when you did this, I was like, yeah, that was there too. And that's part of the enjoyment of the style is afterwards talking about like, man, I was totally there on that dusty street in that Western frontier town when that bandit was getting hung. I was there. Like I could, and I didn't have to ask, is there a trough of water for the horses around here? Excuse me. Like, no, I mean, it's a Western. There's horses tied up over there. There's a general store. There's a boardwalk. It's dusty. There's a tumbleweed. You don't have to paint everything out in the picture. You can leave it somewhat indistinct so that things can happen, right? You want things to happen. It's not so much rapidity to your question. It's not pure rapidity. It's not just how quickly can we play the game. It's not speed running role playing.
Right.
It's how much can we stay in that character frame?
Yeah,
That's
and
what
speed
we're
can be the result of that sometimes. But additionally, the major part of co-creation, or at least another major part, I'm not going to say that what Crispy said isn't major, it is. But another major part is that it allows, when you are able to, in the moment as a player, say, you go to the desk and pick up a pen. That's the favorite example, right? You are communicating a physicality to the rest of the table that you are envisioning. And so they are now also able to envision it. Maybe their desk is in a different style. Maybe it's a marble top instead of whatever. But they can at least know you are envisioning a desk over here in this space and it has a pen in it. Now they have that as a part of their world. And it allows that sort of sharing of these imagined details, these imagined elements in the world. And in my experience, maybe this doesn't, it's not for everyone, or it doesn't happen to everyone, but in my experience, it provides a unity among the players, and it makes scenes just a lot more detailed and a lot more, you can be present. There's a physicality. That's the best way I know how to describe it.
I will say that when I'm running a game, I'm not always, I never think about 4D shit, right? But I never think of the formula. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But in my narrative games, and I do think there is a difference between a narrative game and I don't mean story game. I mean a game that maybe has story. I don't know how to explain the difference. As opposed to OSE, like sandbox type things. When you're describing things, there is a way that you kind of get in the mood, right? Like I remember I played one game where there were dream sequences. And whatever you're getting, it is a more, I don't know how to even explain it. It is a more narrative kind of game. I see 4D as something that can happen during a game, as opposed to and you guys have obviously formalized it and your groups all agree and you've all bought in and there's trust and all that other kind of stuff. But when I play a game with Bacon, he's 4Ding whether we're doing it or not.
Good for him.
Yeah, he is. We played a game Thursday and Matt out of nowhere says, I'm talking to the plant growing out of my neck. And Bacon chimes in with, so am I, so I think the only thing about 4D that kind of is odd is the formalization of it. You know what I mean? This is how we do it and this is what's going to happen. And maybe that's why I can't really buy into it as much. You guys love it and you have so much fun. For me, it's just more rules. I don't know how to explain it.
I actually want to bounce off of what Gary is saying here, not necessarily because I agree, but I think I know where he's coming from, and this is why I've been so fascinated with talking to you guys. I'm so happy that you're willing to chat with me about this, chat with us, chat with our audience, because I think years ago when I really started getting into this industry, this is during COVID, the halcyon bygone years of COVID. I jumped on Twitter.
Better days.
I had nothing else better to do, and there was this crazy guy who was constantly shouting "Chult, Chult, 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 Chult," and that's when I got into Venger Satanis. And this guy is he's not a 4D guy, but he's very much into role playing and immersion and doing crazy things and just letting players do what they do. But he
like to let players do what they want to do?
Well, he does say at the end of the day, he does say immersion is the goal. And that's always stuck with me. Like, why do we role play? Immersion is the goal. We want to be immersed. We want to be at this place. And I sort of feel like studying 4D, talking to you guys and experimenting with actually can enhance someone's 4D experience. Like, I've said this on this channel many times. Like
as he grabs a pen from his desk.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God.
Go ahead.
It's so
I'm
meta.
sorry to interrupt.
Everyone grab your
It's-
pen quick.
It's so meta. I've said, like, if you're just trying to like kind of create a character, just have that one thing that kind of describes them and just kind of like repeat it, and I think that's all you really need to do to kind of like project your character while you're negotiating a freaking, mechanic or whatever. But it can go beyond that. And to Gary's little example last night, I was just doing that. I was just like, because I have like this crazy dude who worships mushrooms. So I started talking about this growth on my neck. And then Bacon decided to jump in on that. So I don't know where I was going with this.
That's all right. You've had a few.
Is
drinks.
this? No, I
We
know.
should just let them talk.
Well, we might need to. This is no longer the second watch. It's the 4D watch.
Well, I can jump in on what Gary said if you want to.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is like,
Sorry.
Do you guys think? Oh, I know where I was going with this now. Thank you. That like smacked me into focus. I love that Mr. Max Boy Vaughn put out a video like about a year ago where he described 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D. I'm of the opinion that your average gamer, their average game session goes through all of those dimensions at any time.
Sure.
And do we need to be 4D all time from start to finish? Why can't we just go through the motions?
How dare you?
Yes, that's what I was
How dare you? I'm kidding.
No, you know what?
Oh,
actually,
please don't
from
log off. We
No,
have
wait,
another hour.
Hold on. From
That's it,
experience
I'm
playing
out.
with 4Ders and
Dun,
having,
Thanks for coming, Chris. See you later.
from playing with Bacon, I will tell you, I've got 2 games going right now. One is run by Chubby. We just started it, and it's an axe game. And the second game I'm running is an easy D6 game.
Thank you,
Bacon
my ear
is-
trumper, Mercurius. $2. I can't because he's
Never.
We might hire him. We might actually hire him. Okay.
You're not taking this from my cold dead hands.
God, I was saying something. I'm so drunk.
I'm sorry,
dude.
Gary. I'm sorry. Gary, go ahead.
Anyway, the I guess the whole point I was trying to make is that I think, from the outside, the 4D thing, and I do want to get to our session 0 in as soon as we can, because we did do.
Well, I think there's a second super chat too. I think Doc Flamingo had a super chat.
You know what? I'm just gonna.
Oh,
shut
yeah,
the
he
fuck
just-
up.
But no,
It's y'all
Gary, you go
show.
first.
Go
I'm just.
for it.
It's just a
Oh
reminder.
no,
It's just a reminder, man.
Gary's
Just a reminder.
patient.
Doc
man.
Flamingos, I got his, but we got
Okay,
another
cool.
one from Tim Griffin, Double Crispy's soundboard.
Yes. Yes.
Fuck
$5. You know what? If you guys keep super chatting, we'll have Crispy on. Okay. Oops, sorry.
Way of stream
I feel
Chris
bad
at
for
10
Gary.
yards.
Can I just want to say,
Go ahead.
I've had
Go
a really good gaming week. Just
That's
so you
awesome,
guys
man.
know. I played a
Good.
game on Thursday I've been wanting to play Axe for like a year. I got to play it. I sit
Right
here and I'm just starting shit with you guys about 4D, but Bacon's in that game. And he was
he is.
4D in the whole time, and I found him to be incredibly entertaining. So anyway,
It is
I should get
entertaining.
in-
Well,
it is entertaining. And I'm not, the 4D thing it seems so aspirational because I'm attracted to games that have a lot of mechanics. I'm so excited that we've started this Axe campaign. I like the number crunch and the rolling the dice and making plans for your character and all that kind of stuff. While at the same time, I'm like, in 4 months, when we really get this shit down, it's going to be fun as hell to watch, Bacon and Matt do their thing, and we never talk about the rules. I do see 4D as an aspirational kind of.
I think
thing.
It is.
I think the Bro SR method is just as aspirational, and I'm not trying to diminish you guys and what you're presenting, because I want to be clear here. I think studying 4D, despite what my detractors say, I think is a good thing. because it adds and improves my game. Just like why I studied what the Broas are doing, because it's improving my game. But all of that is aspirational. There's a reason why the Broas is currently looking for new players, right? So I guess this is going into where I'm going to do some criticism here, because you even address this in the book. So get ready.
Yep, bring it on.
I can't see myself playing. Well, I'll use my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign that I ran for 3 years. That is on Rumble now. I can't see doing that 4D for 3 years. I just can't. It's exhausting. It's a lot to think about. I just can't see it lasting that long, especially considering what was necessary for that game. And by necessary, I mean metaphysically. These players needed to talk about the high level meta game mechanics of armies, the logistics of feeding the armies as they're diving into the temple, all this stuff. And then some of the wacky, crazy shit that happened where we're going into alternate dimensions and stuff. And not for nothing, and this is not, again, I'm just being critical, respectfully. I haven't seen a 4D actual play last more than a few sessions. So is 4D?
You don't know where to look.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'll let
Enlighten
you take
me
it from here, because he's got it.
We get this question a lot, and it's not a surprising question, and I take it because I typically run long campaigns. My in-person games usually are long campaigns. I like persistent worlds, much like it sounds like you do. So
I do. I love it. Yeah.
We did this as an experiment, and we went, I don't know how many sessions we got up to, 20 plus 30 sessions, so it was, and it could keep going. So it absolutely is possible to do it. Does it take a certain amount of commitment, just like any campaign would? Absolutely. So is it possible? Yes, it is possible. It's also something, and I was just going to say this while you were describing it, Matt, why don't we just start with one game? And then see, because you're right. You when you see this and you're like, oh, guys, that sounds like just work. That's what I hear when Gary's criticism. That sounds like work, man. and my experience with doing this for people that are curious, like erudite GM or DM and watcher DM, they were curious. So I ran them through just they said, we like Shadow Dark. Fantastic. Let's do a 4D session Shadow Dark. So what kind of game do you want? We want Vikings. Okay. Then it was because they were picking characters that were more Viking classes. So I came up with just a brief game, a little primer game, and it lasted for about 90 minutes, and it was done. And when we came up for air after that, they weren't exhausted. They were excited for what comes next. So from the outside looking in, this, oh man, guys, you put so many. How many pages is this primer? It's a handbook of what? But in practice, you're probably quite familiar with what we're trying to do here, and I found that it's actually much more accessible than people perhaps would see or assume at first.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to ask because, right now I'm running a modified Easy D6 game. And when I started it, the idea is that I wanted to be able to run. If somebody wanted to be a 4D player, right, I was going to do everything I could to be in that, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard. It is hard, guys. Being a GM is challenging. You're right. You're trying to not guide your players. You're trying to give them as much agency as possible. And then you're adding on top of it. Am I fucking roboting out? Why is everybody laughing at me?
No. We're laughing at this. No, you're good.
All right.
You'll know when we're laughing at you. Okay.
That's true. So anyway, and like I've got a lot of plans for this campaign and I know where it's going. But do you ever find it difficult with your players when you're doing this? Like, are you, how do I explain this? Because I feel like your games are probably more narrative. Are you dropping more clues for your players? Are you giving them more than what you would give them in a sandbox game? Like, what is your,
Yeah, we
No.
probably should like I
like,
want to
what's the
highlight something
difference?
Chubby said, but like just kind of
Mhm.
bouncing off of what Gary is saying right now. Let's get into the practical, right? Like we've
Sure.
been talking and we've had you guys on before, like the 4D thing on before. A lot of philosophy, a lot of high level White Tower stuff.
Yeah, I'm not that guy.
Let's get into the praxis. Like, what are you doing? How are you running these games?
I
Great
think one of the
question.
things that's important to understand is that the GM, having GM'd a quick session in 4D, I can say that the GM's job is made easier in my experience than when I GM other styles.
Interesting statement, sir.
Please
Yeah.
expound.
Sure.
Yes.
I can rely on the players to push things forward, and all I have to do is nudge here and there to put in to make the world, like to press the world into what's going on. And my job is pretty simple. It's to make the world believable, as Crispy says very often. And as a result, I just have to let the players go after their goals, and I just have to make the world react based on what seems reasonable. And it's in many ways reduces the load of what I have to do. And in my experience, in the one session that I GM'd in 4D, I found that I was surprised by just that experience. In contrast to the many games I've GM'd in other styles, where I think the load is a lot more. You're doing a lot more. You're thinking about a lot more. And but with the 4D style, and player agency being so centered, the idea is that the players are going to push the action, and you as a GM are going to make the world react, and that's all you got to do. It's in many ways a simpler loop.
And this is predicated on the player agreement that whatever type of game you've decided on, that's what you're going to be doing. And then you trust your players to do that thing. If you are going to be in the 1920s in a detective scenario, then you trust the players to actually go after the clues and develop the case and find the perpetrator and bring them to justice. You don't have to seed things along the way to them, though maybe detective is probably the worst example I could have brought up. But that's the idea. The idea is that your players and the GM agree to a premise, and that's the premise you're playing to.
Exactly. So this is we often say it this way. We want the players to be proactive. They're aggressively pursuing their characters' goals. They're aggressively going after that. The GM's role is reactive. You're reacting, you're having the world react to what the players are doing. It's not what you normally would go through, and we've all GM'd these games before where you're dragging the players along. Like, guys, come on. Like, what are you doing? The idea here is that you're running in a game, you're as a GM, where you never ever ever have to ask, what do you do? Because the players themselves are already just chomping at the bit. Like they're going. Like I'm after this. I got my character wants this. I'm going after that. Like it's not the other way around where it's the GM just prompting and pushing and bribing.
Crispy,
Please,
I have
guys,
a
I drew a
question.
map. Please. It's not
No,
that.
I hear you. No, Crispy, but that leads me to a question because so like in a sandbox game, right? Like say an OSE sandbox, I can put a hex map down on the table, right? They
Sure.
have clues and they're gonna be like, we're going east, we're going west, or what have you. But I
Yeah.
do know that what I've noticed is that in a lot of the 4D games, it's not like that. It's maybe not location based or whatever. It does sometimes seem to be more NPC interaction.
Yeah.
There's more of that going on. So that's a lot to keep up with, I feel like, right? And then and even if you're not doing 4D, I find mysteries and like heists and stuff like that to be a little more taxing on the GM.
Yeah, that was a bad example. Let's get rid of that example. I shouldn't even have brought that up. It was a terrible example. Get away from it.
No, but that's the thing is I'm doing that right now, Bacon, in our game.
All right.
You know, there is a mystery. There is a mystery.
Gary, can I give you a real world example, like just a real game example?
Yeah,
I don't think the guys are watching. If they're watching, you know, spoiler alerts, don't watch right now. We're starting this Cowpunchers game. So for my prep, because 4D is not no prep. Okay. Now you can do no prep games as more of a practice. And I think that it's worthwhile to do that, because what it's doing is it's helping you think on your feet, right? Like be quick, react quickly, improvise in the moment. But I like to prep for my initial session. So what I did for my first Cowpunchers game is I came up with all of the people of importance that live in this Western South, you know, Colorado, while it was still a territory, 1870s. And I went through, okay, here's the state of the world as it exists. And I've gone through and I've said, okay, here are the players, here are the things that are happening right now. And then that is happening. My players, they have characters. One of them's a sheriff. The other one's the son of the big cattleman in town, right? And they have their own things they're doing. And there's stuff that's happening, and there's things that are happening that are set in motion by me. And those things are going to continue to be in motion until there's something that would otherwise influence those things by the players doing something in the world. So if that gives you an example of like, okay, so we're talking about clues. Well, I know that because I created this as a starting point. I know that the saloon owner is in huge amounts of debt to the cattleman, right? The railroad's just a few miles away. It's going to be here soon. He is trying to engineer an assassination of the big rancher, because he's drowning in debt. And maybe that debt would go away if he could somehow get someone to take out this guy. There's also a bandit group. This bandit group, they have ambitions. They have a leader. What's he trying to do? I've just said, what is he trying to do right now? And that will inform their motivations going forward. So my prep in the game, Gary, is what are the motivations of these other people that exist in the world? And how would they be influenced then by what the players are going to do? So it's not the same as saying, I'm trying to hit these story beats, and you know, we got to get to this, and then there's a plot hook, and then we do this. No, okay. It's just, this is what they're doing. This is what their ambitions are. And then because I know their ambitions, I hopefully will have them, and this is a limitation on the GM, but hopefully I can have them react to what the players are doing in a believable way so that the world remains believable. Oh, it makes sense that he would do that. Oh, it makes sense. The railroad's coming. Oh, it makes sense. The bandits they have their own ambitions. Yeah. Okay. It makes sense. And that's my prep.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page with that, because I was trying to explain to Matt the other night. He had said something about the way I do NPCs. And, you know, with NPCs, it comes down to what do they want and how far are they willing to go. And if they're an important enough NPC to name, they're willing to go all the way for what they want.
Sure.
And so if you know what the NPCs want, and there is that dynamic, and I don't think it's the hardest thing to keep. You know what's really hard for me? And you guys can all comment on this. I've dropped so many clues. Like I do NPCs the way you do. I drop all these clues, and I swear to God, out of every 10 clues I drop, they're picking up 2.
I know. I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're 4Ding and you're trying not to get mechanical and you're trying not to make the wisdom roll every 5 seconds for do you notice anything?
Oh yeah.
How
Perception check.
do you get your players to really react to those things? Should you shine a big spotlight on them, or should you just drop them?
So-
I think it's so done.
Bacon, you want to start with that, or Mike?
I was going to say that my thought, I mean, I'm the neophyte of the group here, but my thought on that would be that it depends, what's the game we're playing? What's the goal of the game? So if we're playing, just to take Bacon's idea that, he wanted to scrub, and it's a mystery, then they're looking for clues. So when I start dropping, ideas or clues, it looks like there's a knife wound that is in the right eye, and then later on you see, someone with a bunch of marks on their hands or something like that. Then they're looking for there, so they're already primed toward that thing. If we are playing, another game, then and they don't take the bait of the clues, but it's not like that's not the goal of the game. The game isn't about the clues. Then I let it go. I let them take the direction where they want, and maybe I can shovel those clues back and kind of recycle them later on. But the idea is that if the players don't want to go there, players don't go there. They're their own people they're in control of their character, and they can choose to ignore things if they want, and the world should react accordingly. Which is to say, if they miss the clues and can't solve the mystery, that's not a GM problem as long as you've been dropping them like, flies.
Yeah.
Well, that's I just wanted to interject, like that's kind of like sandbox play with the OSR. Like you didn't go to hex 3 or whatever. So whatever's going on there is going to happen, and the player's going to go do their own thing. I guess. Go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say what's great about this game is that I will say that, like, when I decided I was going to do the CZ6 game, I knew that other than Matt and Brian, the first person I was going to invite was going to be Bacon. Because I did.
I'm blushing.
Crispy, you've got a message coming to you in a little bit, just so you know.
Sorry.
I just did a poll, and I'm okay.
Yeah, they're
to
talking
send
about you,
a
Crispy, and I can see it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but the thing is, and maybe maybe what it is I'm thinking, when I think 4D, for whatever reason, I'm immediately going to a narrative driven style of game where there's a bad guy who's doing some shit and you guys need to stop him and everything else. And I'm wondering if maybe my hang up is that 4D it's not relegated to narrative style games, that you can use a 4D style in a sandbox style game. However, it's going to work better when all of the players have a sort of mastery of the rules and don't have to talk about it. I think I might have just convinced myself that 4D is badass. I'm on back off.
I think it can be. Absolutely.
I gotta shut up now.
I think it
All right,
can be.
that's the end of the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming to the second watch, everybody. We're shutting down. Just go to Crispy's channel.
No, they listen.
No, but does that
it makes perfect sense
Do you
to me.
understand what
what you're saying makes sense. Back to this clue thing. I'm indifferent. I certainly like to have little breadcrumbs so that we look back after it and they're like, oh yeah, there was a breadcrumb there. Whether or not they follow it, I mean, that it doesn't change, like Chubby was saying, it doesn't change. The thing that left the clue is still pursuing its goal, whatever that might be. If they don't clue into it, oh, well, then something bigger will happen. And that's okay too. And then maybe, well, you didn't catch the clue. It's just the way it goes. Brian Jameson, in his book Game Mastering, he talks about using a clue bat, and I think I sometimes do that. I will admit this isn't really a 4D thing. This is just a me thing. I will, as I describe something, I may put a little more. I try not to be too heavy-handed with this, but I may put just a tad more description on something that is of note. And I try not to make it obvious, because then it's like, okay, great. Yeah, just to go to the next thing. And But I will say, like in this Cowpuncher game, I had the NPCs find an incriminating weapon. An incriminating weapon was on one of the bandits. And one of the NPCs comes up and he says, "Whew, that's the finest rifle I've ever seen a bandit carrying. Let me take a look at that." Turns out it's this custom piece, right? Why does a bandit have this custom rifle? It's way beyond what they should have. And you know, yeah, it's a breadcrumb, and there's maybe something else with it. Now the players know, and because of the players I have, they're just as likely, Gary, to say, yeah, whatever, I don't care, we're going to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine, I'll be fine with it. I'm not going to cry myself to sleep with my giant pillow to fit my forehead. I will not. I won't be too worried about it. It'll go on. The world persists. It's fine.
I also, real quick, while I have a chance, I want to compliment Bacon, because I really thought, for whatever reason, in my mind, the 4D guys are. I thought for a while that it was a bunch of talky talk. It was like, we're gonna 4D and we're gonna immerse ourselves, and it's gonna be a lot of. And Bacon is the guy who is like, shove dudes down on their face on the floor. He's wrapped people up in like vines.
Oh,
you know what I
100%.
mean? Bacon is the dude who's like taking action. Even last night, I'm already in the cave. Oh, fuck. Here we go.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm already there. Yep.
Because
I'm
I
the
did
guy
have
that
the-
jumps out of the drop pod. Like, everyone's like,
Yeah.
how do we get down? Like, I'm playing a low intelligence character. He just looks down. It doesn't seem that low, that far, and he jumps. Because I don't like. Sometimes roleplay gets this bad rap, and I hate it because it's so true. You see people that are in the roleplay and they're just sitting around and nothing is happening. Nothing's happening. And I'm watching and I'm like, guys, do something. It's just rope. I don't care. Do something.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just can't handle that.
I'm going to ask you a question, and this you know what? I'm not going to even ask it the way I was going to ask it. I'm just going to be flat out honest with you. So I've been running this Gods of the North campaign with my in-person gaming crew. They are the more conventional guys, where they have like a beginning, middle, and end story game sort of narrative. They like but they also like their game mechanics. They want to, like, you know, play with the things.
Mm-hmm.
So I started playing Gods of the Forbidden North by Rob Alderman, the Lord of the Rings of the OSR.
We love you, Rob. Hope you feel better.
Rob's a great guy.
She's brilliant creator. And we're playing old school, and I 3D6 down the line, the whole, you know, whatever. And they created of their own accord this like mercenary company, and everything is filtered through that lens. So it's not the players' individual characters, it's the Iron Price. That's what they call their mercenary company. And it's become this emergent story focal point, right? But I have this one player who has been just bitching and moaning.
Kill him.
I rolled a 5 intelligence.
Oh, man.
I don't know what my character would do. He's got a 5 intelligence.
Are you sure about that?
Well, that's what I've been saying, and I have a couple guys. One guy in particular who is on my right hand on the in terms of the table sitting, who will occasionally just get frustrated. Just look at him and go, "This is OSR. Your attributes really don't matter." You know, we'll just like yell at him, right? But what would and this to Crispy, to Bacon, to Mike, what would you say to a player like that who's like frustrated with their character creation? What would you say to them?
That's a really good question. I'm going to let the other two go first because I love playing dumb characters. I just really like it. There was I was in a game with Mike
Yeah.
and I was a dumb fighter. I think my character sheet, because they were pre-gens, my character sheet said I was supposed to be smart.
Rogan!
Right, like Rogan. And
Yeah.
it was Mike, another player, and they were having this conversation with the mayor to sort out what all was going with, I don't know, bugbears, kobolds. I don't remember what the scenario was. But as they're sitting there talking to the mayor, my character is like bent over the dining room table, taking these teacups and turning them in his hand and spilling the tea accidentally and looking up and in sudden shock and dropping the cups and everything. I'm breaking everything. I'm making a mess of everything. I just really like playing dumb characters. So I don't know, like, if you don't like doing that, that's a tough sell. I don't know how I would recommend. I'm gonna shut up now. I guess I'll let the other two speak. I love dumb characters.
Matt, you've mentioned this player and his dissatisfaction with his character. I really, one time I gave you some really bad advice when you were trying to get your players off of 5e. I told you to find new friends.
I've known this guy for like 20, 30 years, by the way.
Kill that motherfucker. Fucking kill him.
No, but you know what he's gonna do?
No,
you know what he's
I
gonna
don't
do?
give a
he's
fuck
gonna
what he's gonna do.
He's going
deserves
to like
death. Smite him like you are the hand of
Are we talking
God.
about the player or the character? Oh, he's just gonna replace him, and that's what he's looking for, and that's my point.
That's fine, and he'll roll a better intelligence up.
I don't.
I'm just saying,
want to.
Have you ever been driving to a game like you're going to play in a game store at a friend's house, and you're on the way there, you're stuck at this long ass fucking red light, like a punishment light, like you just got to sit there for no reason, and you hear this voice in your head that says, "Motherfucker might need to die tonight."
And let's be honest, who hasn't heard that voice?
We've all heard that.
I feel that way about my players, not my characters.
So, Mike, if you don't mind, I'll go in on this.
No, go ahead.
My answer to that situation may be a little different. I would say, Matt, for me, the goal of the game is the honest embodiment of the character. It's role playing the character. If you have a player who does it in spite of their best efforts, which may, from our perspective, be fairly lackluster efforts, but let's say in spite of their best efforts, they just can't connect with this character, then retire the character and get a new one. Because I would much rather you enjoy role playing the character than you hate the character. You're not going to get into the character's headspace. You're not going to try to embody the character because you hate the guy. Fine, retire him, get a new one. And I've done this many times in many games where a player will just come to me and be like, "Man, I just hate this character. Like, I really hate him." And I always preface this with say, "Okay, do you hate him because now you understand him and he's so different than you? In which case, you've won. That's winning. You've connected with that character on an emotional level at some point." I know that sounds kind of airy-fairy, but whatever. You're really role-playing that character. You're really role-playing that character so much that you now really despise that character. Or do you hate the character because you just feel like I'm not having a good time role-playing this. Just retire it. Like, why try to push a rope up a hill?
Well,
Crispy,
I'm going to push back. No, well, I'm going to push back on this because
of course you are.
No, of course I am. Because what we're talking about here is a player who just is upset that he didn't roll a great stats.
Oh,
so he's not trying as hard.
Yeah,
but
I don't care about stats,
but that's where he's coming from. Let me give you a little bit more backstory. Despite his stats, this character has reached 6th level in a very pure OSR game. And he has done some great stuff in the downtime. And by great stuff, I mean, to him, he's just hand waving. Well, my character's stupid, so he's just going to gamble and talk about the gods. He's playing a cleric of the Norse religion. And he's, despite all his perceived flaws, he's survived. And I keep telling him, your character is effing awesome. Like, I think your character is fucking great. Like, you go to battle, you're coming back bloody, and then you're gambling your winnings, and you're praising the Lord, whatever, Odin, whatever. You're doing your thing. Like, this is great. Like, this is a great character. He's like, yeah, but my highest ability score is 12, and I have a 5 intelligence, right? So like he's looking at the game mechanics, and he is deciding. This is my perception. By all means, criticize me, and yeah, seriously, please criticize me. But he's looking at please, no, I'm serious. Like I want an answer to this. He's looking at his character. He's looking at the game mechanics. He's not having fun, and its rules is written. What should I do?
So
should he retire that character? Should I let him re-roll? What should I do?
So here's my thought. My thought is that you're talking past where he's at, which is to say, he has said in these words or not these words that I'm not enjoying the character because of the stats and the mechanics involved. And you're saying your character's awesome, but you can't. There's no amount of you telling him how awesome his character is that's going to convince him past the mechanics that he's blinded by.
I agree. Yes.
So the reality is that you have at that point a couple choices. Choice number one, you take him aside and you say, hey, look, what do you think your stats should be in order for you to enjoy your character? Given stats don't matter as much in the thing, what should they be? And work it with him that way and say, okay, well, let's say we add 5 to your intelligence and now you have a 10, so you're average. You know, is that going to be, are you cool? Can you role play your character? But if, to Crispy's point, if he's fundamentally not enjoying the character, then let him re-roll a character. Who cares?
I agree. I completely agree. And even I would even go so far as to giving him half experience. You know what I mean? Listen, Matt, I know this
is that fair though? Is that fair?
Who gives a fuck? Let everybody.
No, it's a game. We gotta have it.
No,
it's gotta be fair.
But what I'm saying,
yeah,
is
it should be fair.
It should be fair. But if you allow him to do it, you could allow anyone else to do it. But nobody else is because he's the only little bitch complaining about everything.
Chancellor 740 in chat has a great idea. Give him a magic item that buffs his stat.
Yeah, that would work.
That's plenty fair.
I mean, the big thing is, one of the things that you learn after you GM.
There's a funny story attached to that, but okay.
With
Gotcha.
One of the things about OSR style games is that stats really don't matter that much, especially once you hit mid game. So what I'm telling you is give him the magic item. Give him the magic. Give him the fucking thing. You know what I mean? Just give it to him so that he shuts up. Because really the biggest problem is that he keeps talking to you about it.
Oh no, you're that is 100% correct. Like if he would just play
Shut
the game,
the fuck up, everything would be great.
Yeah.
I think that's why this is a time to have a sit down away from the table and just talk to him about the character, talk to him about what does he envision, and then make a choice like Crispy was saying. Do we continue on with this character or do you want to retire it? And things like magic items and things like, other things that can occur in the scope of the game can make it, fair. But the reality is once again, given the idea that, stats don't matter all that much, having an average intelligence and a +0 modifier is probably not going to blow it out of the water for him, as far as the game goes. So it's one of those things too, where you can just pull him aside and have the conversation. Look, it seems like you're not enjoying the character. Here's the options I see. Option number 1, you can retire the character. You can re-roll. Let's play. Option number 2 is let's find a way that you could find a way to buff your stat, in game, in the given what's going on and all the things available.
All right. Well, I'm actually glad we brought this up because now I have a really interesting question that I think kind of dovetails into 4D. It's one of those "Am I the asshole?" type questions.
Yes, you're the
Yes.
asshole. Okay,
No,
now,
I know
we
I-
did a
I know I
zero-
am.
Depends
we did
how
a
many you've
session
met
zero.
throughout the day. If everyone was, then you are
Yeah,
I love that quote. That comes from
It does.
Matthew.
meet one in the morning, then you've met one in the morning. If everyone
Yeah.
that you've met is that, then you're
You're the asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Lord
Raylan
Mateus.
Givens from fucking Justified. Yeah. Well,
I have
Go
been
on.
wanting to get to this for like an hour, and I feel like we maybe should have gotten at it at the beginning, but we participated in a session zero, a
Oh,
4D
yes,
session
yes.
zero
With
with
Crispy.
Crispy and
Yeah.
Bacon, and it was thought provoking. And I've been wanting to get to that. So, real quick, we got together. There seems to be. I had asked a question about session zero and what everybody got and how they felt about it and the compromises, and then we did a session zero with Crispy and with Bacon, and it was a lot of fun. But I have thought about it a lot, trying to figure out what I really think about it. Right,
Mhm.
like what I really thought. So, Crispy, Bacon, whoever wants to start, what I remember is that at the end I had katanas and a mech, which is what I wanted out of that game.
There you go.
Let's talk about session zero a little bit. When you're planning a game, because I know that when I'm prepping a game, I know what flavor I want it to be. I know what direction I want it to take. I know what the geography looks like. And although I can't control my players, that world is mine. That's not how it works for you guys. Please
So
explain.
it's more collaborative than that.
Mhm.
Now, that said, one of the things that we were doing this for is because you had this question. It's a really good question, which was in your session zero, it's just no one ever really gets everything they want. Everyone's going to have to compromise. And
Right.
that's a fair point. I think that that's true. But I also don't think that's a bad thing, Gary. If you want a game that's
No.
going to last, you're going to have some compromises or someone's going to have to just eat it. Like, so, okay, yeah,
No,
you're just
I-
going to have
I
to do that
agree.
because that's what we're doing.
And
I'm sorry you have a 5 intelligence. We're playing OSE and that's what it is. So
Yeah.
suck it
Go
up.
fuck yourself. Yeah.
Well, that was my
But
position.
we
3d6 down the
started
line.
it.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I actually really enjoyed this.
Yes. And this is on page
Of that.
28
And as a
through 30 of the handbook. And it does go into, in that session zero, some of the elements that we're going to be talking about. Like, what is the setting? What's the tone? What's the, what is this? Who's going to have descriptive control? And there's a whole section of the handbook that talks about this. So yeah, it is different. It's a different approach. It's not just making characters, and it's not talking about some weirdo that has some strange fetish that they want to play. It's not that either. Hopefully that doesn't come up.
Real quick, super chat from Doc Flamingo, $5. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. My answer to that player: send me a 4-hour video of you reading an encyclopedia with "Gonna fly now" on a loop, and I'll boost your intelligence by +1. I like that. I do.
So
We have another one from Chancellor,
Wow.
$5. Columbo,
Thanks, guys.
from my favorite TV show, and not for nothing, Chancellor, your love of Columbo is the reason why Columbo is on my to watch list.
Oh,
Anyway,
you've never
dude,
seen Columbo?
Tubi wins
I
every
haven't.
fucking time,
Oh,
doesn't it?
dude, you're in
Fuck
for
yeah,
it. It's
Tubi.
it's what a good show. It's so good.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's so good.
Columbo has low physical stats. His highest are his intelligence, wisdom, charisma, but he still solves every case. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, I think the problem with this player, and I want to be fair because I've been beating up on him a lot in the past few weeks. He brings up a point that Alexander Macris actually addresses with Axe.
Mhm.
He's like, the OSR is about player competency, not character competency. And he wants to play a game where he can just say, I searched the room, I have a plus 12 to search. Roll a d12, right? And Alexander Macris tries to address that with Axe. Not for nothing, I introduced this player to Axe. He's like, can we play Axe? You know what I mean? So, like, I don't want to pick on this guy too hard, but I sometimes think rolling takes in modern game design, rolling takes over for player intelligence. And to tie this into 4D, how do you guys see that? Like, what should take precedence? Should I roll for a skill, or should I describe what my character's doing, and is it about player skill?
I lost a subscriber over this question recently.
No shit.
Yeah.
I love that I'm being controversial.
So, and because he really, really, really didn't like my response, and because the question was, he noted that I was making the point that it's not, the game isn't, this isn't a skill-based game in the sense of we're bowling, right? If we were bowling, then it's the bowler's skill that matters.
Mm-hmm.
But what I care about is I care about the what's a congruent, I guess, portrayal of the character. If the character is smart, I want the player, even if the player is dumb, I want the character to be smart in the world. If the player is genius level, postdoctorate, and he's playing someone who has a room temperature IQ, I want that character to be room temperature IQ. I want him to, what did I say in my last game? If brains were dynamite, he didn't have enough to blow his nose. Okay,
Great line.
I want
That's
that.
awesome.
And so, I had said that in a critique I was doing of Bob the World Builders game, and I said, no, I'm not interested in testing player skill. I want to see the faithful representation of the character, whatever the character's skill is. And a commenter came at me and said, no, that's a cringe take. You know, if you're smart, you can role play a dumber character than you. That's fine. But you can never role play someone smarter than you. And I said, well, that doesn't make sense. Why can't I role play? That's what the mechanics exist for. So I'm sure he's busy downvoting every video that he sees me in. Maybe not. Maybe it was just a passing disagreement. But that's my take on it. Unlike Alexander Macris, I am not interested in I want the best player. No. I want people that'll be faithful to the character they're playing. Does that make sense? And so I'm quite comfortable if you come at me and say, look, I'm kind of a simple man, but I want to play a scientist. Like, I really want to play in real life. I drive a bus, and I didn't graduate high school, but I really want to play it like the smart guy. Can I play the smart guy? And I'd say, yeah, man. Like, why don't you role play? You've seen some smart guys on TV? Yeah, I've seen some smart guys on TV. Okay, you're trying to sound like that. And you're not going to know anything about physics because you don't in real life know physics. But why don't you just go on the internet, pull yourself some physics sounding words, just make a list of words that sound like their smart person would say them. And then when you do the thing, you're going to say, I'm going to use my physics, whatever. And so this is the flux capacitor. And then I say roll, and he rolls. And because he's role playing a smart character, well, the smart character is right. This is the way it is.
So let me.
I'm
gonna challenge you on that because
it won't be the first time.
I appreciate. Yeah. I appreciate what you're saying, and I think that's on paper fair. So let's go with the flux capacitor. So if your player, who is the bus driver, the good-natured bus driver who's just looking at his retirement, hasn't submitted a workers' comp claim yet, blah blah blah. We love this guy. And he's just like, I just want to role play in Crispy's game. I want to play the mad scientist. And he says, in your game, there's such a thing called a flux capacitor that captures spirits and puts them in a containment unit. I have a plus whatever bonus.
If we're playing Ghostbusters, yeah, absolutely. That would be decided before we start. What kind of game is this? Oh, we're saving the world, and I want to be a nuclear physicist. Okay, so then there's not spirits. We're not capturing things from the ether. You can just do something. Oh, I'm going to use my dimension skill. I know of extra dimensions. All right, fine, whatever. That's fine. I'm not going to be like, yeah, no, actually. and if he's really nervous about it, let's say that player is like, I'm really not very smart, guys, but I want to be the guy that solves the puzzles. Can I play a character that's good at solving puzzles? Why not? Like, I don't see anything wrong with leaning into the mechanics of the system for that.
Well,
yeah, you
okay,
get
well,
you get a boon
well,
roll.
this also-
on your
but
science thing.
this is where I want to push back though, because you talk about the mechanics falling into the background, but now we're talking about the player who sucks at science playing the science character, but he's relying on the mechanics.
Well, he's using his science skill, and whatever that looks like. I go over to my terminal. I start typing away on my computer because I'm a science guy. All right, roll your check. And then he comes back because he's really good at it. He did the mechanics side. It's still in the background. I just say, roll the check. That's it. Then he can come back and say, success. And then I say, well, yes, advanced theories say that. And then he's like, yeah, well, I figured it out, guys. That's I'm totally fine with that.
Two things. One is that this a little bit goes back to session 0 and people buying into the world that everybody is playing, right? One of the nice things about session 0 in this context of 4D is that by collaborating around it, every character walks in with some base knowledge of the world. And when it comes then to things like, is it possible to capture spirits in a flux capacitor? That question would have been answered in session 0. The other thing too, I wanted to point out is that Doc Flamingo made a comment about all professors playing role-playing characters that are of higher intelligence than they, or something like that. And I agree completely as a kind of professor myself. So right on.
Well, my point is this is actually not directly to
I'm gonna before you get
point.
to your point, before you reiterate your
Okay.
point,
All right.
I'm gonna say this, and it was gotten to a little bit by I am Silvio in chat. I don't know how to properly swing a sword. The mechanics do that for me. They translate that for me, right? I am an ugly bald guy, okay? But
I think you're beautiful.
Well, thank you, Matt. My charisma in the game is the mechanic that will translate that into something prettier and more eloquent and maybe more verbose, though I don't know how that's possible. And so I don't know why intelligence falls into this pit trap of,
Right.
player's not intelligent, so I can't play an intelligent. Yeah, you can. I'm a weakling. I'm a bald guy. I'm ugly. I can play whatever kind of character I want. If you think you're not as smart as your character, okay, that's okay. That's okay. The intelligence statistic will translate that for you, and that's what it's really there for.
Well, to Bacon's point, this is exactly what I was just going to say. When's the last time one of you guys took out your recurve bow and shot accurately at distance? I mean,
3 hours ago.
Fantastic. Would you let someone who's never shot a recurve bow, or has only done compound bows, modern hunting bows, would they be able to role play an archer? How many people, like most of us probably like to role play humans, but every so often someone wants to role play a dwarf. Not going to mention any names, but I know some of them exist. When that person's not a dwarf, okay, are they able to role play a dwarf? Yes, of course they can. And many of us haven't been on horseback for a long time. Yet we somehow find a way to translate our inexperience into riding horseback and doing crazy stuff off the back of a horse. And it goes on for everything. Oh, my guy knows how to ride a motorcycle. Okay, well, do you know how to ride a motorcycle? Maybe. I don't know. I was on a bike once. That's not the same. But for some reason, when it comes to the intelligence stat, oh, well, forget it. You're just not allowed to do that. I'm sorry, we're going to have a test before you get to roll your intelligence stat because we're going to cap it at whatever your real life IQ is.
Yeah, dummy.
Dude, I swear to God.
That's right. Everyone has to do this.
Chubby is our 12th man. I don't know how many of you guys follow football, but holy shit, dude. It's like talk, and then Chubby just sums it all up for every. Thank you, Chubby.
5s across the board for me, just so Chubby knows.
And he's the doctor here, so all the rest of us are in trouble. We're just eating glue in the back of the classroom.
I role play a smarter character in real life.
I think technically Matt's also a doctor.
Officially, we're just a few minutes out from our stopping time, although that never seems to stop us whatsoever.
No,
so everybody, stay comfortable. But I will say the 4D method of role playing and the goal of immersion, just to kind of sum things up as we're towards the end, I find it incredibly aspirational, and I think it's great when people can do that. Like I said, we've got this one guy we play with, Reed, who just is a natural 4D player. I wish he had more time to play. He'd be in a game of ours right now. But I do really appreciate that, and I appreciate how it's almost like you're bringing something back. Because I remember playing Dungeons and Dragons as a kid and having my dungeon master, this very intense, 16-year-old when I was 12, what do you do? And I would have to explain it in character. He'd get all pissy. No. Tell me, what's your, how does it work? And I don't know that you guys are inventing anything so much as you're giving something back to the community, and, I think it's weird now that we're adults, we have to kind of codify it. That's odd. But what you guys are writing about and what you're talking about should be the way people approach the game until they can't, until they run into I have to ask the GM a thing. I have to, I don't know the rules that well or whatever. I do think that is the way that most people, we see these new games like Shadow Dark, which I've accused Shadow Dark of being too simple. Yet, Dark, just say what the character is doing.
Yeah, and to bounce off of what Gary was saying, I think what 4D is doing is hearkening back to what I sort of started experiencing when I read Dragonlance and I got immersed in these stories and I wanted to play characters like that. And I think even if you're not into a hardcore 4D style of play, reading this book, 4D, the Beginner's Guide to 4D Role Playing, and watching these videos and seeing what Crispy's doing, Bacon, Mike's doing, it's going to enhance your play, because at the end of the day, this is about immersion. And this is where I deviate from a lot of the OSR guys. This is where I deviate from the Bro OSR. There's some cool stuff that you can do metagame, but at the end of the day, why the hell are we spending all this time after we rolled our stats, figure out our secondary stats, bought our equipment and spent all this time coming up with the perfect name for this character. Why are we doing that? Why is that name so important? I just think 4D and this book will enhance your game, enhance your experience, and I think everyone should check them out. And
you can download it right now for free.
As Bacon is reminded us, it is free.
It is free, and guys, you're Matt's right, 100% right.
Yeah.
Whether or not you adopt the whole thing, there's just, if you're just looking for a good game mastering and like role play book, it is that. There are ideas here that you can I'm sure will fit into what you're doing. I'm sure there's something in here that you'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, players should move their own characters. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I
like
actually,
it could just be something simple, but I'm convinced there's something here for pretty much everybody.
agreed.
So, yeah.
I think
check it out.
it's like some of the best, GM guides or dungeon master guides where, even if you're not playing that game,
I don't even think it's about I don't even think it's about DM versus player. It's just if you're into this hobby, just read this. Just read it. And
maybe you hate it, which is a possibility. Maybe you hate literally everything that's in the handbook. But
It's possible.
you won't know you don't like it unless you read it or unless you
Right.
try it. Yeah, right. Like you won't know you don't like 4D unless you try it. And that's really all we ever ask is that you just give it a shot.
Right.
And it's a fun read, and there's art in it. It's actually a really good book.
It's
It's a good
surprisingly
book.
good.
I love the layout. I love the
layout's
layout.
great.
Yeah. I have a little. Yeah. Go ahead.
There's a part of me that's very upset that you guys are giving this away for free. It kind of pisses me off.
Look, we've
I
heard
feel
that
like
a lot.
I feel like a
Free
pimp
for a
when
limited
someone
time.
like-
How about that?
No,
We've heard that a lot. There's a reason why we opted to do it for free. We did not come up with any of this. This is all information that's available through YouTube videos. Crispy's been talking about this stuff for a million years. There are others who have been talking about this stuff for longer than us. All we did was put it in a book and make it searchable. That's all we did.
Gary Lewis.
So I didn't want to charge for it because it's already out there, and I get it. And I appreciate you saying that. The next one will not be free. The next one's going to be a whole ass game. So
maybe a print copy, Bacon? Maybe?
we are still exploring that. There's a little
Okay.
bit of conversion that I need to do in a layout, but it's not difficult. So we may be able to go to print with it to offer that.
I listen, guys. I think that the amount of thought alone, I'm not even talking about the time spent writing, but just the amount of thought and the effort that went into this, it should not be free. It should. I mean, at the very least, just charge $4.99 for it. You know what I mean? Like whatever. I just think that you guys have done valuable work. It may not be something that I would, always want to use, but it's just like any other role-playing supplement, and I think it's a good one. You're gonna find those nuggets.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. But what's done is done. It is currently free.
Currently.
So you can go. I mean, look, if we go to print, then that can't be free.
It
Can't
offends
do that for
me
free.
that it's free. It offends me.
Apologies for offending you.
I don't know.
Not gonna make it not free.
Well, you know what? No, not for nothing, but not for nothing. And I know I have a reputation for picking on the Bro SR, but the only guy I know who actually tried to codify how the Bro SR does is McGlowan. He's got a great book. You can find it on Lulu. 4D is buried and buried's not the right word. It's like scattered to the four winds across YouTube and social media.
Mm-hmm.
This book that's on drive-through will bring it all together. So
Well put.
Yeah.
Well
put.
And that's what it is. So go check it out.
That thing,
It
real quick.
will improve your game. even
then
if you don't buy it in wholesale.
Death Angel
100%.
Shadow, pay what you want is a fucking sucker's bet. Charge $5. Sorry.
One
There
of
you go.
no, it's okay. One of the things that I think is important about the book is that it's sort of the handbook. If we could go back, in time, and I asked Bacon about 4D, it's kind of a handbook that I would have wanted him to give me at that time with, the information that I wish I could have had just at the ready in that way. Because, it's a collection, it's a moving target, 4D, in many ways. The ideas involved are coming fast and furious on Discord. They're coming from actual plays. They're coming from, various videos. And so it can be challenging if you're not watching all those or don't have the time to watch all those to really get vested into it. So this is a path not only to introduce yourself to 4D, but as you all have said, it's also a toolkit that you can grab things from and you can, use as you please.
And if just closing thought from me is that please understand where this is all coming from. We, like you, are enthusiastic fans of the hobby.
Right.
We love role-playing games. Many of us have been involved in this hobby from our early days. And so that's where we're coming from. It's coming from this enthusiasm we have for the hobby and the question that we asked ourselves, that what is it that I like the most? And for us, the answer was identified. I like it when I get to step into the skin of a different character. I like the role play side of things, but I want it to be kick-ass. So how do I get that? How do I get more of that? That's where this is coming from. So understand that we're not coming at this from a ivory tower type, we've found the promised land and we're going to keep everyone else out. That's not the...
Actually,
I got it on the soundboard. Hold on. No, I don't. So at any rate, just to finish that thought, if I may, I just say, please understand, that's where this is coming from. We, like you, are enthusiastic about the hobby. And this is our answer for what we like most about the hobby and what we are trying to do to get more of that thing. So take it for what it is. It's coming from a good place. Sorry,
it's not a one best way or one true wayism. It's not that.
No, I was actually, a thought occurred to me. If you take just the principles of like 4D gaming, of staying in character and talking in character and those kind of things, I almost wonder if you couldn't boil it down to a few points that should be put in that section that every role-playing game has. What is a role-playing game? What do the players do? It almost feels like what you guys are saying should be in that section. There should be a little thing about rules mastery for your character, and then what is role-playing, and it is these things. I agree with you. I think you're bringing something back as opposed to inventing something new. Yeah, no, good job, guys. Good job.
Thank you. And thanks to Mike and Bacon. Really, it's a lot of hard work, and I think it's fantastic.
Well, thanks to you for actually exploring the topics and making the information available.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks to everyone. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're all love the best.
No kids.
Flowers.
No kids.
Oh, hell no!
Oh,
Crispy is now the unofficial 5th member of Second Watch.
We're gonna have to work out some sort of
from now on. You won't see him, but he'll always be here.
I'll be here.
All right. Well, we're definitely at time, and guys, Bacon, Mike, Crispy, thank you so much for being here. If you're interested in 4D, The free PDF is at Drive-Thru RPG. Bacon and Mike put so much work into it. It's ignited my imagination and it's definitely improved my game. I encourage you to check it out. But with that said, please go to Crispy's channel. Please go to Bacon. Download
Mike, start a
that
channel, bro.
PDF. Yeah, Mike, you probably should. That
Not
being
too late.
said,
Our watch
watch
is
is ended.
over. Sorry.
it's over.
It's over.
Take care, y'all.
I know. I know you guys wanted us to just kind of blather on more, but yeah, it's over. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Chat's been great. Thank you for the super chats. We'll see you in 2 weeks, not one. Next week, Gary's playing some Barry White. I'm visiting my parents. There's no second watch next week, but in 2 weeks, we'll be back. We love you guys. Take care.
Good night.